You know, as we approach Christmas, I was thinking it would be nice to have an ultimate hunter's Christmas giveaway.
Oh, Tim, we have one.
What?
All right, so this week's podcast, we got a great guest. Doug Nelson from Illinois killed a 202-inch deer. He's going to tell us how to do it, but we did want to come on here real quick and say we got a couple giveaways that are getting ready to end. The Ultimate Hunter's Giveaway, which has 3 badass packages and prizes that you can win. And then we're giving away a Tracker 800 side-by-side. That ends on the 18th. The Ultimate Hunters giveaway ends Friday. So you're going to want to get in real quick on both of them. Go to Deercast to enter and check out this podcast. I think you're going to really like it. This guy's been chasing this deer for 4 years.
And if you don't like it, you get your money back.
Shut your mouth.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Drury Outdoors 100% Wild podcast. Merry Christmas.
You said that last week, and I thought it was a little premature.
But now, are you ready for it?
No, it's still premature.
What?
Christmas is next week, Tim.
But it's a season, brother.
It is. It's also deer season.
Are you going to Grinch it up?
I'm ready for both to be over.
The grind continues.
Not really. I went to Illinois and had some mishaps I don't want to talk about. And had an opportunity on a pretty big deer over there. So it's, you get to this point in the season and you screw up and it's just like, man, I'm ready for it to be over. It's a grind, and I don't know why it's a grind every single year. I thought back, it's like the last year that it wasn't a grind, we were still shooting PSE. It was like 5 years ago.
That's a long time ago. But last year, you killed on the last day of bow season.
That's a grind.
Which is not what you want to do. But it's got to give you a little bit of hope that, like, hey, we're still in the game. There's still a chance.
Yeah.
But I don't know if your trail cameras look like mine, but it's just crickets all day and then a few does overnight and then some dinks coming through.
I have one lease that all year I've had a couple really good bucks on, and it's weird. It's pretty much undisturbed. It's the piece of property that when I went to go hunt it and take a piss in the scrape, the guy was waving at me 10 feet off he was on the property line. It's that property. So,
are you Matt Drury?
Yeah, so I could tell. So, I quit hunting it for the middle part of the season because we transitioned to another piece. And that was probably the time I should have been hunting it. You know, I was seeing daytime trail cam pictures, and I know this spot. I know there's 2 pieces of timber, and they're walking daylight through those pieces of timber looking for does every rut.
I do that
every year, and it's frustrating because now, I mean, so there were 3 shooters there. I think one got killed in gun season because I haven't seen him since November the 12th. But the other 2, it's every single night. I got trail cam pictures of them, and I had standing corn up there, and I mowed some corn and, put up a blind and hunted there a couple times. And these dang things just, I got a 360 right in the middle.
Yeah. So you're not missing anything.
No. And I see them. They come right after dark. And this morning I was looking at it, and right at pretty much first light, the one shooter I want to try to kill, walked out of that, and then he walked through my clover, which I have 2 other revolver 360s in, and he's going to bed, and it's sun's coming up, and I think this is where Mark would be like, I got him going to bed, so I went in there and I killed him. And
simple.
It's that simple. The difference for me is the wind's wrong tonight. I'm not going to go. It blows right into the bedroom. I'm just not going to go in there. And so, and the moon's setting later in the mornings right now anyway. So I'm thinking, shit, if he's just going to bed right at day, because the moon, I'd have to look on Deercast, but like when driving into work, it was still pretty high up. Yeah. And I'm thinking, he's so far from where he's bedded would be my gut. He probably has another, half hour to an hour of travel somewhere. I have no idea where he's, probably not on my lease. So that's why I think he's coming out so late. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, I just, it's like, God, I could go in there. I could try to Hail Mary it. It's like, we're not quite there.
Morning hunts are such a...
I thought about that. It's like I could have gone into the timber, and got kind of in front of him and go on my timber set, but I've not done that in December, I don't think ever. So I don't know. Not that you can't,
I mean, I had a random new shooter show up at 9:30 yesterday morning at one of my timber spots. It was like, where have you been?
Yeah. Well, and then that's the other thing. It's like I got a decent amount of leases and ground and to hunt, and you see people talk about shooters showing up when you got a food source, like late season he showed up. Mm-hmm. I got enough cameras and enough ground and enough food, but I don't have anything showing up.
I can guarantee. Well, we can talk for a long time about our ineptitudes and failures.
We should probably move on though.
Yeah. So one of our rack packers reached out to us, actually to both Matt and I thought it would be funny because he was like, hey, I'd like to talk about this buck. He killed a 202 in Illinois. I thought it'd be funny if one of us said, you know what, screw you.
Another one said, I would love to have you on.
And then it would just be a really awkward, like, one of us really didn't want this guy on, but
Tim's a dick.
Yeah. That goes without saying. But so we've got Doug Nelson joining us today from Illinois, right?
Yes.
What part of Illinois?
Chillicothe, Illinois, just north of Peoria, about 20 minutes.
Awesome. Yeah. Hey, is that Fulton County?
I live in Peoria County, but I hunt Knox.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, that up there, you get up to that part of Illinois. I mean, Illinois is a great state to hunt, but man, there are some big deer up in that area.
Chillicothe is just far enough north where it doesn't stink like ADM like the rest of Peoria does. Especially South Peoria, it's got a funk to it.
I'm not going to sit here and bash Peoria.
No.
All right. That's the land of Jim Tomey.
My
Peoria's favorite son.
My grandparents lived on the south side of Peoria, and it used to be like a nice working class neighborhood. It literally, by the time my grandma passed away, the house next door was literally a crack house.
Nice.
The guy way overcharged.
Oh, okay. Time to move back.
Okay. So let's get Doug, let's get into your deer. Like a lot of people, because you're a regular guy and you killed this 200 plus inch buck. A lot of people are probably thinking, he killed a huge buck. He's got to be a terrible person, or there's some fatal flaw in who he is.
Well, you listen to the show, so there's your flaw.
Ew.
I'm just an overgrown idiot farm kid from Central Illinois that got into deer hunting in his mid-20s, and it's quickly become an obsession and a passion.
What got you? Like that's a kind of a weird time in life to start hunting. Just curious, what got you started?
I'm the only one in my family that hunts on my dad's side of the family that farms, and it's not in the cards for me to get to go home and farm. And when I started, I was a high school agriculture teacher and FFA advisor. Now I work as a district sales manager for the best seed corn company in the U.S., our Midwest being Whiffles Hybrids. It's a family-owned independent seed company. And when I started deer hunting, the PE teacher, and football coach, John Carruthers, got me into it. And when I was living over in the Princeville area, I rented a place, and the landlord let me get into deer hunting. And I saw a big buck out there, and I bought the CVA muzzleloader that I killed Powerball with that year for $150. And then I got started there, didn't know what I was doing, got a couple ladder stands, and just kind of muddled my way through. And 6 years ago, in 2013, my grandfather passed away. And after traveling, having to travel an hour plus away and not knowing long term if I'd be able to get better sets, and just being able to break down some of the properties that I'd hunted, just permission pieces, I was able to talk to my uncles and my dad and get permission to hunt we call it our South Farm, but because it's the furthest south geographically that my dad and his brothers farm. And I was able to get access to that and be the only one that was hunting there. I felt terrible, the guys that had hunted it, but
liar.
There were probably 7 or 8 guys during gun season on a 400-acre farm. It's a big piece of property, but hunts small because it just strips small blocks of timber along the creeks that intersect there. And I think the biggest contiguous block of timber is 6 to 8 acres. So it's been fun to break it down and learn a lot about it.
That's the thing about Illinois. There's so much tillable over there, and it's just a little strips.
A big farm.
Yeah. You might have 1,000 acres, but you might only have 100 that has woods on it. You know what I mean? Like little 8 acres here or 10 acres there. It's a little strip, because the farmers love to farm everything. So over time, it seems like every little like fence line's been cleared out, and there's not much habitat really for the whitetails. So they really seem to be good at hiding and honing in on the little patches of timber that are spread out on a piece, right?
Absolutely. I don't know anything different. So it's growing up as a kid, we used to feed 12 to 1,500 head of fat cattle a year. And we'd actually put 200 to 300 dairy steers out on the pasture that was there. And then when I was in late grade school, we actually tore the fences out and started farming the pasture there. Some of it's highly erodible, so it's all no-till conservation tillage on that. And that farm's kind of neat because every year it's one half of the farm, the north or south side's corn or beans, and it rotates. And in the last 6 years, I've realized that the deer definitely relate more to the side that's corn stock, or cut corn each year. So that's where I kind of hone in on and focus a little bit more activity on that. And 4 years ago, or 5 or 6 years ago, when I started, I had my wife's first cousin, a state trooper, go out with me because I would say advanced novice at that point. I'm green and have no idea what I'm doing. And he hunts quite a bit. He just got done with a 3-week vacation from being a state trooper, and we pulled on the farm and just drove to check it out. Drove around the 6-acre block that sits up secluded by itself. And he just looks at me and said a couple 4-letter words and screw you. We've been here for 5 minutes and you just had a 170, 180 inch class deer that came out. And he goes, don't come in here. Don't set up anything. Just sit on the ground. And that next weekend was the first gun season. He came out at 40 yards and walked down 100 yards. And that was one of the first deer that I shot at with a muzzleloader. And I cleaned it the night before and had the primer cap pop and then a pause. And I'm looking at it and boom, shoots right over the top of him. And I'm like, oh, you idiot. So that deer got nicknamed Bruiser because I shot at him 3 times and never got him. Holy in 2 years. So
man, you were with a muzzleloader, you were really reloading.
Wait a minute.
Right in the Civil War.
I actually broke that year. Actually broke my push rod on the third time I shot at him trying to reload. So it was not. Yeah. So I'm an idiot. I've done a lot of things wrong, and definitely blessed that I had the opportunity to chase the deer that I nicknamed Powerball 3 years ago. 4 years ago in 2021 season. 21. He was just an impressive, I'm guessing an impressive 2.5-year-old, and just was a neat looking deer with a lot of character to his rack and a bunch of non-typical points and trash. And I probably had 20 interactions with him, several in the same sits with him, and just let him walk that year because I'm like, yeah, that's not big enough to shoot yet. I had a couple 8-pointers and a 10-point that I was after that year. And then the next year he made a jump up to probably that 140s or upper 140s, mid 150s.
Now we're talking.
As a 17-point non-typical with a bunch of stickers and trash. And my 3 hunting mentors all said, do not shoot that one. Don't be an idiot.
Smart.
That's the one that's got the potential to make a jump to be a mega giant. And I'm glad I listened. I'm glad I listened. He made his big jump last year. He probably put 35 to 40 inches on. Last year he was probably in that gross kind of score in that 180 range. Upper 180s probably. And then this year he added a lot more mass and a lot more width and more tine height.
Well, that's what I noticed in your pictures that you had sent over. The amount of mass that deer had is just ridiculous. What was do you remember what the mass measurement was on him?
Both sides were over 20 inches.
Yeah, 40 inches mass. Yeah, so it was crazy. So I was even going to ask you that, like, all right, if you're a relatively newer hunter, how you get the fortitude to pass that deer, even that first year. But I guess you're saying the mentors really kind of helped you out here and say, all right, this is one that you really, did you have the confidence that the deer would not get shot by a neighbor? Like that's the other gamble that everybody faces.
The way that farm sets up, the dominant deer stays on the farm during the day and beds in one of about 4 spots. And I learned that the first 3 or 4 years. And then in the last two, I would say I've really added starting, like in 21, I had one cell camera, and I was on the south side of the block or of that timber block that sits on itself. And it's on a rub and a licking tree. And I've had that, and like every year, every deer that steps on that farm that is a buck typically runs through there, and will use that scrape and will be there. So you can inventory with one or two cameras, but just being able to break down how they move. I added, I'm up to 5 cell cameras and two non-cell cameras. My lovely patient wife has been great at being supportive, but having a 2 and a 4-year-old, and that at home is a little bit more difficult. And when you're spending money on stuff like that instead of family stuff, it gets a little bit harder. But it's been a lot of fun with that, just to get it broke down. And he's been a homebody in the last 3 years. Every deer over 3.5-year-old, he has pushed off the farm. I've had other deer that right around Labor Day, when the bachelor groups start to kind of split up, he stays and pushes everything else off. Last year was awesome. I had an opportunity at him at 40 yards, and I got the window open on the redneck blind and pulled up, and all I saw was a hedge tree limb at him, and I was just like, oh crap. It was right after he just beat the ever living crap out of a 3.5-year-old 8-pointer, and came out just scenic, beautiful. Sun's coming up behind him, snorting fog out and kind of pawing at the ground, and ran him off. And then he's standing there broadside 40 yards, and I've got the crossbow up, and it's just like, oh crap, I don't feel comfortable shooting at him there. But he just stayed home, and this year he turned way more nocturnal. And want to give a shout out to my 3 mentors. Dr. John Pollock is my neighbor, bought the place literally to my south and west property lines here at our place outside of Chillicothe. He's been a great friend, great mentor, very generous guy. I actually shot him out of his redneck blind that's on a trailer that he let me use specifically. He's like, I want you to kill that deer. Wow. He helped me target that deer. And then Cole Cunningham from Princeville and Scott Garlish from Forest City, Illinois, have been big deer killers that have really been an asset to me and helping me learn to not be a complete idiot, but be an advanced novice.
Well, then I know you didn't say it specifically, but I think Matt and I probably have some role in inspiring you to have made that kill.
The idiot part.
I mean,
yeah. I enjoy the show because of the self-deprecating humor, and the fart soundboard is a favorite of mine as well. So I'm an overgrown junior high boy. So
thank you.
That was not the soundboards.
Hey, we can never get enough praise for the fart soundboard. All right.
No, I mean it's clearly the highlight. You and I are
between that and the stepbrother quotes that you'll put in there, or that's what she said. That hits me right in the right place for my humor.
I heard an interview Steve Carell did. He said that he never says that as much as people want him to in real life. He just won't.
Well, sure.
Did we just become best friends? Yep.
All right. So the deer. Talk to us about the day you killed him. What was happening there? What kind of conditions? Had you seen him at all this year yet? What led up to this year?
So the last year was a lot of cat and mouse, and he daylit a lot more.
And what was his age last year? You think?
I'm guessing him at 4.5 or 5.5 last year. Yeah. I'm thinking he's at least 6.5 this year is what I'm estimating him at. He could be 7.5. I'm not sure. He hasn't went backwards, so I don't know. Yeah. If he's 7.5, he's probably not 8.5. I'm not sure. I'm not smart enough to be able to age deer that way, but that's what I'm guessing him at with the 40-year history that I have. That last year's a 5.5-year-old. He was daylit a lot more. The neighbors had a combine fire, so they had the last 80 acres of corn standing, and probably a 3-mile area. And the second gun season, I was hunting out of that blind in a different spot that I've got another redneck blind there this year. I saw him coming up the wagon path that goes back to the landlocked 60 acres that we call the Big Bottom. And he's coming up the wagon path, and I hear at 7:00 in the morning, right when he's starting to work into where I can potentially get the windows open and start thinking about getting a shot at him, I hear wagons coming down the road that they're just getting in to harvest that field. So then he ended up skirting, crossing the creek, and I watched some skyline at 250 yards on the south side of the creek. So I probably had 20 interactions with him and sightings with him last year. This year, I literally only had 5 daylight camera pictures of him, and one of them was the day that they were combining the beans on the south side of the acreage, and he daylit at 4:00 on the 7th of October. And then on the 13th of October, I was sitting on the south side on a logging road that's our logging path that's been logged out. Probably, or they logged some walnuts out of that farm probably 8 years ago, and I've got a nice set there that I killed a nice 8-pointer out of 4 years ago, and heard something. I had a squirrel that was driving me nuts. It was in the same tree that I was in, and then it was in the walnut tree next to me and was knocking walnuts down. And then I looked over my left shoulder, and he was just coming in and crossing the creek and stopped and got a drink. Range found him. He was at 50 yards, pulled up the crossbow, and an autumn olive limb was right there in the way. And I'm just like, I don't feel comfortable taking a shot at a deer like that and messing him up and bumping him off as much of a homebody as he was. But then first gun season, saw deer every set that I had 9 all-day sits, 8 evening, afternoon hunts. Trying to balance adult responsibility of family and work is challenging, and working in seed sales right now is kind of our peak busy time. So it's trying to pick and choose windows that are going to be optimal. Have been good, but during the gun season, I was out every day. First season was slow, didn't see any mature deer. Second season, again, I'm an idiot. I checked the field. My wife was coming home from a work trip in Florida. Popped out with 2 minutes of legal light left, thought everything was there, closed all the windows up, opened the door, and 100 yards behind me, behind a hedge tree, here's 6 deer standing there. One of them stomping at me, and I shot and dropped it because it started to look like it's going to blow at me, and if it blows, it goes. And
hey, you!
I folded it up right where it was at, and I walk over, and it's like, cool, I got a doe for the freezer. It's right there, not a whole lot of blood. Be able to throw it in the back of the truck or tag it, throw it in the back of the truck, and gut it up by an old hog shed that we've got there. And I got there, and it had a small basket rack 8, and I'm like, oh crap! I just wasted a tag on a basket rack. But thankful for the meat for the freezer. But again, I'm an overgrown idiot, so got lectured by my mentors about doing that. They're like, don't shoot unless that's there. You don't run the risk of doing that. Second season, I didn't have any pictures of him. And this year, from the observations that I've had on the sits, the cell cameras, he didn't get that big and that old by being dumb. He would skirt a lot of my cell cameras, my non-cells. He would go right in front of and poise and cock off and everything there. And then about Tuesday evening at 5:00, so like right at the end of legal shooting light of the second, or of just this last week, he started coming out. And then Tuesday night, he was in front of the camera 8 times from 5:00 till midnight. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, he was there. Thursday, he was there on camera. Friday, I go out, and I got out there late. John, my hunting mentor, lectured me not to hunt that blind, but I got there late, got in at 3:00, east wind. Wrong set for that, and he lectured me about it because when I left 30 minutes after I left the farm, he walked right in front of it, and he's like, well, you idiot, you parked where your scent was blowing into his bed. So he was going to hang tight till he had dark to move. He's like, hopefully he doesn't bump off the farm. He ended up going in front of 4 of my cameras to the south of the farm, and I'm like, oh, there he goes. He's going to go south to the neighbors where there's some strip mine lakes and ponds there. And I'm just like, crap. 11:00, I get a text alert from the camera. I look, and he just made a loop back, and then he started going back, and I'm like, I got him. He's going back to the south bed. He's got a bed in that 6-acre block. He's got a bed in the middle of the farm along the creek, and then he's got a bed on the south side of the farm along the creek in thick timber that he can. It's thicker timber, but he's got a couple points where he beds that he can see a lot of his entrance and access that he's got to those in every direction. So he's a pretty savvy guy. So, okay. So you're leading up to the day of here. You think sorry.
You
then
got
Friday,
him. Yeah.
Friday or Saturday. That was Friday. Saturday, it's southeast winds, 14, 15 mile an hour, freezing rain, just crappy, dreary, miserable weather. I went and I left home about 10 o'clock. It's about a 45-minute drive over, got dressed, got into the end of the redneck on the trailer about 11:15, 11:30. I had to get a 1/4 inch ice off 3 of the windows because of that east wind, and that stand faces east, and it's on the west side of that block of farm. I had fought my buddy heater that the thermocoupler kept getting gunked up, and it wouldn't stay lit. And I walked in like an idiot and didn't have my insulated bibs on because I'm like, I'm sitting in a box blind, I don't need it. And I got soaking wet and covered in ice, and fought that wouldn't stay lit for more than 5 minutes after the first hour. So I'm in there with what I had in my backpack of zip ties for tags and the roll of blue shop towels that I have in both blinds to blow your nose, do whatever.
You're draping them over you for warmth.
Yeah. But I text John and said, a little before 4, he's asking what he saw for deer movement. He was hunting here next to my house, and said that he just had 20 does move off of his food plots that he had. And he's like, what are you seeing? And I was like, I'm not seeing anything since 2 o'clock. I saw 2 headed to bed. Don't know what's going on. Like my optimism, I literally said my optimism is nearing 0. And
that's the key.
My stupid heater won't stay lit. I'm cold. I'm wet. I'm miserable. He's like, stay positive. Try to get it relit. Keep your windows from fogging, and just do the best you can. And I got up my zip tie, rolled up a little rolled piece of paper towel, got it shoved in there, got it cleaned up, got it relit, set it down on the floor. I look up, and from the north, I see 2 deer coming from the north. And then from the south, I see a big bodied deer, and the rain is raining so hard on the window that I can't use my binoculars or rangefinder to see what the deer is. So I open the window up, get it up. I get the binoculars up, and I see his telltale sign has been that is fork G3 on the left side. I see that, and just immediately like, oh, it's him. Holy crap, it's him.
The telltale sign is a 200-inch deer.
Yes.
He literally stepped out of, when we were in high school, my buddies and I we called it the campsite, where we cut a bunch of hedge trees out. And we could drive along the creeks way back or drive along the creek all the way back in there, and nobody could see us. And at the time, we didn't drink or do anything stupid like that, but we blew up a lot of crap and waded in the creek and just did a lot of stupid high school boy stuff. But he literally walked out of the entrance to the campsite, and I ranged him at 167 yards and sat there and was shaking so hard that as I grabbed my CVA muzzleloader, I got that. And as I'm pulling that up to get it on there, I'm just like shaking, and like I literally had to look down. I'm like, I can't look at him. I just need to take some deep breaths, relax. And then I got up, and it's like, okay, lean into it, control your breathing. And then just that shot control of just squeeze. And then boom. And I guess I rearranged him before I got into the shot sequence, but he was at 146, and scores off the CVA, and the Hornady SST hit right where I was wanting. I drew a line from the top of his shoulder down to his elbow, and aimed from the midline about 4 inches high, because I knew that at 150 it'd probably be in that area, and knew that I was probably shaking a little more than I wanted to, but hit right there in the midline, broke both of his shoulders, took out both lungs and his aorta, and he just arched up and took 4 staggering steps and tried to jog and crashed within 20 yards of the shot in the field. So the track job was easy, and outside of trying to load a mature 200-inch deer by yourself, wasn't the most enjoyable, but I was able to kind of bear hug and he-bitch him into the back of the truck.
Nice.
I feel bad for you having to be stuck with that kind of job there.
What a burden.
Right. Yeah. So what was your mindset in those ensuing seconds there after the shot? You see him go down.
I see him go down. I see his head start coming back up, and he's trying to get his front legs under him. Like, oh, no. So I'm scrambling to reload, and I get it reloaded and get it up there. And then I just see him stop kicking, and I just shut the window, and I just sat there like convulsing, like I was having a seizure. And I text text John, I text my wife, I text Cole and Scott and a bunch of, I text my mom and dad. My mom and dad were up at Mayo Clinic. My dad had his hip replaced and had a couple issues that he had to stay there a few extra days. So I texted and called a bunch of them and just let him stay there. And then,
see if he could come down and help you load it up.
Yeah.
I know you just had an operation.
So I literally walked over to him, and as I walked up to him and poked him with the gun to make sure he was dead, the telltale, you see it on every hunting show, like, oh yeah, he's dead. It's like, dumbass, he's dead. You don't need to do that. But I knelt down beside him and just about started bawling. 4 years of a lot of time, effort, money, and time away from my kids and my wife. It was just pretty special kind of a moment. Didn't hoot and holler, knelt down next to him, had my the gun butt on my left boot, my right knee down, and couldn't even bring myself to touch his rack yet. I just knelt down next to him, patted him on the hip, and said, "Thanks, big boy," and knelt there and said a prayer of thanks just for blessing me with it and being able to have the opportunity at a deer like that, and him staying there, being able to make a clean, ethical shot, and went back, and I'm like, I got to get to the truck. And I, as a fat man, I sped walked back and was out of breath and made 3 phone calls on the back, and was trying to called 5 of my buddies to try to come help me load this big thing. And 3 of them were at a ballet recital in Galesburg for their daughters. And it's just crap. My dad and mom are up there. My sister's at home watching my kids. I'm trying to get back to my Scott, Lori, sorry, I missed the your Christmas party, but I don't get it's a 200 steer. They understood. My in-laws had their family friend Christmas party that evening, and my wife was just like, try to make an appearance, hopefully.
No,
Doug, this has been a show full of shout outs. You need to realize no one watches this show. No one listens to
well,
this
his
show.
family's gonna.
They will. So you at least maybe pick up another 10 guys.
All right.
Yeah.
We lost Galesburg, though. I shouldn't have said what I said about Galesburg. I apologize.
It's a pretty fun moment there. And sometimes, I mean, I would assume it's actually kind of nice to experience that on your own too for a little bit, and then get to, I'm sure all your buddies at some point finally got to come back and see the deer and hear the story and,
Yep.
do the celebrating after the fact.
Yep. Yeah. When I got it back home, John and one of his buddies that was down hunting on his ground, and his daughter came over, and then he's like, you need to try to get to your in-laws. So he headed back to his house, and I ended up going back in, and my sister was there. She had to get to work at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I had to stay home. So I really didn't get to celebrate that much. And I've outgrown my degenerate activities in my 20s, so I don't drink anymore. So I went in and had a bowl of ice cream instead. So
my man,
some Rocky Road.
Uncle Bob's blackberry ice cream was what I had that night, and that was good enough for me. And in the morning,
I went for 4 scoops instead of 2.
Yep, that's exactly how many I had. I had 4. It was a big bowl, and it was well worth it, because I realized that when I was eating that, I was like, oh, I didn't eat lunch or have supper tonight, so I guess the ice cream will do. But
yeah.
And you burned all those calories bitching that deer in your truck.
I love that term. I'd be looking for the closest Casey's to get me a slice of Casey's pizza.
But that's BS.
And also cold beer.
Busch Light.
Is that the Busch Light?
That's my typical routine on the way to the farm. I stop at Princeville at the Casey's, and normally I've shied away from that for fear of having to use the bathroom, so I don't load up on the slice of pizza till the way home. But but get something to drink and then go over there and hunt. And my kind of pre-routine is I listen to Ted Nugent's Stranglehold and Fred Bear. Say a couple prayers and go in, and that's kind of my ritual of going over to hunt for the day.
That's a good ritual.
I like that. Yeah, that video I posted to the Rack Pack this past summer of talking about, hey, I would go and eat Casey's Pizza if I ever was driving past a Casey's Pizza. That was the Casey's in Henry, just north of you, that I was driving past, and it pissed some people off. Well, there's a Casey's right there. You could have stopped right there.
Every small town in the area has either a Casey's and a Dollar General.
It's mandated by law in Illinois.
I at some point we're gonna order a Casey's pizza and we're gonna have it here and surprise you and make
I would love that,
make
man.
you eat it.
I would eat so many
I'm
slices
gonna make
of
you
that
eat
pizza.
it on set on camera.
What's your go-to, Tim? What's your go-to favorite?
What's the most popular one? Because that's the one I get.
I know what it is.
It depends on the person.
Uh huh.
It depends on the
Sausage.
person,
The sausage pizza.
That's
is
exactly
the
what I was
sausage
gonna
is my
say.
go-to.
Yeah.
Love
Only way to go.
Yep. Big time.
The sausage breakfast piece is pretty solid too.
Yeah. They had that
crunchy
Bush
shell.
Light pizza for a while. That was pretty good.
It's got like shards of a can on it. Huh. So talk about the fallout from that deer, like just the after effects. How does that impacted your outlook on hunting? Like, what does the rest of the year look like? What are your friends and family saying and doing? Because a deer like that has ripple effects. through your
Walking a
life.
little taller now.
Yeah, strutting.
I felt like I had a weight off my shoulders and my brain because I'm a chronic oversharer, and like a lot of my buddies that have been after big deer, like, don't show pictures of it. Like, people are going to start trying to come in. Somebody might poach him. Somebody might do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't care. I'm too excited. I showed a bunch of guys pictures of it. And so then I've got probably 20 of my closest buddies who, like, every time I see him, like, did you get him? Have you seen him? What? Like, you're killing me. Kill that damn thing already. But just the relief and having the mental space back that I have now that I got him has just been liberating.
Think of all that time where you don't have to check your trail cameras.
I literally 3 weeks, and my wife, bless her, she is the most patient woman putting up with my sorry ass. She literally woke up one night and I'm sitting there with my phone open on the cell cam.
Who are you talking to?
As she said it, I look over and you're like, oh, please don't break any tines. Please don't break any tines. As he's beating the crap out of the number 3 shooter that I had on the farm that was probably a mid 150s 10-point. He's beating the ever living crap out of him. And I'm just like, please don't break any tines off, because he did break a split off his right brow. He had a split right brow that he broke off.
Really lost him.
Yeah. So I like stuff like that of waking up in the middle of the night and checking your camera, and like the when I've heard the alert go off on my cell cameras, it's just been like, okay, I'll check it in the morning. I'm not worried about it. So it's been nice there. But the amount of texts, phone calls, Facebook messages, comments, things like that, it's been pretty neat. And being able to interview with Cody yesterday for the Harvest Highlight for DeerCast has been awesome. And
nice.
I wanted to thank you guys and the Drury team for DeerCast. I've been using it the last 4 years, and it's been an integral part of being able to know what stand to hunt, what the wind's going to be like, whether I go out, depending on the time of the year, morning sit, all day sit, or just focusing on that last golden hour, and just knowing where the wind's going to be getting blown. I did have to use the DeerCast track on a curly. I called him the Curly 8. He was like a 150s 8-pointer that I shot at 160 yards 3 years ago, and hit him in no man's land right in front of his hip, below his loin, and never found him. So it
happens.
Yeah. So I've paid my dues, and it's been fun.
We all have, for sure. Well, I mean, so you got that 150 still walking around. I know a couple of boys that still have Illinois tags. So just saying.
Tim,
what do you got to offer? Come on.
well, look at him. Maybe you could he-bitch him up into the truck.
No one's picking me up. I'm massive for my size. Other people's words.
What she said.
What? Hey. Oh, man. Well, Doug, you want to stick around for the shenanigans here? Because we got some.
Absolutely.
First of all, congratulations. That's a hell of a deer. That's a deer of a lifetime. And it probably makes it a little sweeter because of the history and the chase, once you finally connect with them, that you got to connect with them. That's rare. I mean, we see the highlight and the success stories a lot, but that's rare.
The grind that precedes.
There's a neighbor somewhere that had him once or twice.
Yeah, you know it.
And the second gun season, I literally text the neighbor because I heard a bunch of shots, and I'm like, I text the neighbor that's right next to me, and he was in high school with me. His sister was in my class, and I text him like, "Is your dad deer hunting?" Because they just moved there moved down the road a couple years ago to where they're at there. He goes, no. He's like, is your dad deer hunting? He's like, part of it was a little bit targeted to say, is your dad deer hunting? He said, no, but he's got a trail camera up, and he said, there's a big one there. I'm like, I'm well aware. I'm well aware. And then I texted him Saturday as I'm headed home with him in the bed of the truck, and just texted him. I said, hey, tell your dad the big one's in the bed of my truck, headed to Chillicothe. And he sent back, no way. And he sent me a picture of a couple trail camera pictures of him that were really neat to share. So
that's cool.
The word was out in the area about him. So I'm glad I got it done and got him home.
Yeah.
If you were Matt's neighbor, he'd be having a bonfire back there.
And, blowing the wind right into my dipper.
Smoking you out.
Yeah. All right, Tim.
Okay, Matt.
All right, Tim. Are we going to do the real wild clip?
Why not?
Yeah, okay. All right, so today's Real Wild Clip is brought to you by Muddy Outdoors. The new nucleus heated base layer system is now available at GoMuddy.com.
I've been hunting in it.
I've hunted in it. Well, I haven't hunted lately, but 2 weeks ago I was using it. It's nice. It is nice.
Man, especially in these late season. I went out a couple Saturdays ago or whatever, and it was 36 degrees, but the wind was a solid 20 miles an hour. And it was nice to have on.
It is. Yeah, I just got the new hand muff. Haven't tried it yet, but look, I ordered the stuff for late in the season. Like last year, January, that last week, man, it was like zero, negative brutal. 10 and all that. So I'm gearing up. I also just got the Thinsulate boots. There's 1600 grain muddy
child.
Dude, they're like moon boots.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
if you don't have far to hike, it's no big deal.
Yeah, I mean, well, the other reality is if you wear the nucleus socks, you really probably are good to go then, no matter what. It could be negative 50.
That muff, the on button is inside the little zipper pouch for the battery.
Thanks, Tim.
It took me a little while to find it. I was like,
the cool thing about that muff, you can actually fold it out and put it as a seat, like on your seat if you're sitting in a blind.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, Tim.
Well, I guess I could wrap it around me like a diaper when I'm hanging in my saddle.
Whee! It's so warm and soothing on my bottom.
That was the one setup. I was in my saddle in the nucleus gear, and that was a weird hunt. A story for another time.
Any hunt with you in a saddle is a weird hunt.
True.
All right. So what do we got here for the real wild clip, Tim?
It looks like let's roll that footage there. We got a bobcat scaling a tree, chasing a bushy tail.
Ooh,
he's got a big fox squirrel by the tail. And then he lost him. He's chasing him back down the tree, paying no attention to the hunter that's shooting video from a ladder stand here.
I bet that hunter was shitting a brick. It's like, oh my God, he's coming up.
I wouldn't be afraid of that. I'd just be.
Well, you're a man, Tim.
Well, yeah. I wouldn't want to tangle with a bobcat, but I wouldn't be afraid for my life.
I mean, that is pretty amazing footage.
It just freaking flies up that tree.
It's from Jake Bennett. He's from Nebraska. He's a DOD fan. Well, I would expect nothing less.
Of course. Man.
Look how quickly he got up the tree.
Nimble as a cat. Oh. You wonder why squirrels are so nervous all the time. They got stuff like that that's always trying to eat them.
Neurals. All right. We got question of the day, Tim. Question of the day is brought to you by Stealth Cam. See what you've been missing with the Revolver and Revolver 360 Pro cell camera.
The Pro reaches out a little bit farther.
I don't have any of those.
I'm going to have to get some. You're not Pro.
Obviously.
You have to be Pro to get the Pro.
Well, okay, so I'm not going to have it.
Show me your certification and we'll make it happen.
I don't have one. I am in the Missouri Hall of Fame, Sports Hall of Fame.
HOF.
Mm-hmm. HOFer. Man. Totally coattailing Mark and Terry on that one.
By hook or by crook, whatever it takes.
So
you're in there.
I do love that 360. I don't care what anybody says. Like you put it out there, and you're gonna figure out. Well, there's so much stuff I had been missing. I had no idea. And now you got to put it in the right spots. You know, there's a little bit of a science to it, but in food plots, it's pretty money.
One of my favorite things to do is at nighttime, if you turn on that AI colorization tool, it can sometimes give you a little farther, like it can brighten the blacks and bring out something that maybe you just see eyes back there. But if you turn on the AI colorization, it can make a deer pop a little bit better.
Got it. All right, so we got a question from Wesley Ward from Deercast. He says, do deer really move much in the rain? I would say yes, and I think Doug here would attest to that because it was raining when you shot the 202, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. That's what got him to daylight. That was part of the tactic of it. Is it's got to get him to move and get up and start feeding before he started to just move nocturnally. It got him up on his feet earlier and led to his demise.
That same day, I've seen a lot of my friends that are hunting Illinois.
Was this Saturday? It rained Saturday, right?
Yeah.
I was seeing a lot of videos on social of people like crunchy blind windows or frozen stands and stuff. But I also saw a lot of dead deer pictures later that day.
It's one of those things where it's more of a hindrance to the hunter than it is to the deer. Plus, you shoot one, you're like, oh, the blood trail, better hit it perfect. Like, there's a lot that goes into it. But, I would think typically, in my experience, a heavy rain, like a torrential downpour, I don't see nothing moving. Like everything's kind of hunkered down. But if it's a light rain, it doesn't affect them at all. In fact, I think it's kind of a positive. Now, you said it was raining pretty hard that day for you, right?
Yeah, on the walk-in was kind of miserable with that 12 to 15 mile an hour wind and freezing rain pellets smacking you in the face and eyelids, and that was a little bit painful. But it was raining. It wasn't like a torrential downpour, but it was just that real fine misty rain that was getting blown around. So it was a pretty good rain.
Yeah.
Just a torrential downpour.
Yeah, I think it's a positive mostly.
Yeah, and I agree. Like, I think if it's torrential, like the general rule I've heard is that they relate to the rain kind of like we do. If it's just kind of misting, a light rain, it's not that big of a deal. We'll still go out. But if it's torrenting, it's a different story.
Yeah.
The Wildlife Word is brought to you by PH Outdoors. Check out the full line of G Series no-till drills at phoutdoors.com.
He's got some new drill. I follow him obviously on Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. Paul's got a bunch of new.
It's expanding.
Yeah, like all kinds of. We need to have him back in because he's got all kinds of new pieces of equipment in the line, and it seems like he's got a more affordable one now that he just came out with. It doesn't do quite as much. It seemed like it's a no-till, but it doesn't. It might be a little bit lighter in weight as well. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to have him back on, and we could check that out.
The danger with having Paul back on is that we may end up just talking about Bigfoot and UFOs.
Yeah, that's okay too.
Yeah, I'd be cool with
All
that.
right, so what do we got this week?
Okay, what are the two main toes of a deer's foot called? Are they A, cloves?
Well, you missed a lot here. Let's get back into it.
Well, but if you read it, the outer claw is called the lateral claw, and the inner claw is called the medial claw. So...
so it gives the answer away.
What are the two main toes of a deer's foot called?
Well, you got to give us choices.
Yeah, but I'm trying to process this myself.
How do you think I feel?
The two main toes of a deer's foot called... what are the two main toes of a deer's foot also called clouts or claws?
The outer claw is called the lateral claw. The inner claw is called the medial claw. So
and then there are also choices.
I no, we know this. Give the choices.
Okay. Is it A, cloves, B, toes, just toes, C, little piggies, or D, dew claws?
Right. D. Am I right or wrong?
What do you say, Doug?
Well, that was a lot going on. What was the
I know,
question
man.
Tim, this is on Tim. This week, Tim butchered the wildlife word. Let it be known.
The main toes, or what are you asking? The main toes, or
what are the two main toes of a deer's foot? Also called clouts or claws. So, I've always heard it called a dew claw. The dew claws.
Okay.
Right.
The dew claws would be up higher toward the ankle of it. So
right.
I'll go with D. We'll go with Matt. We'll see.
This is not my doing. The answer, according to this, is cloves. Well, where are the dew claws at? They're at the. Oh, they're at the. Yeah,
you're
right.
Higher.
You're a little bit higher. Yeah. Well, son of a.
The wording really screwed me up.
Me too. It's cloves.
Cloves.
Hey.
What more can we say?
That's
Cloves.
the answer.
We should also say that in the show notes that people can go record a question of the day for us. Click the link. It'll take you to quick answering, like a voicemail service, and you can rock and roll there.
All right. So we got some shout outs, Tim. We got a shout out.
We do.
We need more too.
Yeah, CJ Deer Killer gave us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. It says, great podcast, guys. Full of tips, great stories, and humor. Keep it coming.
Just the tips.
Hey.
All right. We got some new Rack Pack members. The Rack Pack's a private Facebook group. All you got to do is type in 100% Wild Rack Pack in the search bar and Facebook. It'll pull it up. You answer a few questions. You're in. Mm-hmm. All right. We got all kinds of new names. Usually there's a fake one in here somewhere. I read them. I butcher them. All of these look fake to me. Literally all of them look fake. All right. Mike Nitschke, fake.
Yeah, right.
Seth Niebaum, fake.
Nice try, Seth.
Russell Dinwiddle. Well, no, Dinwiddie, also fake. Russell Dinwiddie. Wilma Buttfit. Wilma Buttfit. There's the fake one.
Wilma Buttfit.
Wilma Buttfit in the saddle.
Does this saddle make my butt look big? No, your butt makes your butt look big.
Ryan Weedlick, fake. Presley Peters, fake. Troy Heflick, fake. Bradley Tilchak. This looks like a Kjellesvik kind of a name.
Tilchak, probably.
You could pronounce your kind.
Bradley Smith.
Mission Weishite. These are we just pretending to make these up? No way these are real people.
These are like the Chinese Amazon companies that are like just letters put together.
Yeah. The LinkedIn invites you get. It's like, I'm selling apparel. You would be great for this. All right. Tom Zumsteg. Justin Stampfler. Jeff Diao. I don't think any of these. Jim, are these real?
Daylight.
They're all in the Rack Pack. I think we're letting too many people in that Rack Pack.
We need to put a border up.
Those all seem fake.
I mean, you and I both know there are quite a few people who are waiting to get into the Rack Pack because they never answered the question.
I just accepted them, actually.
You're like the Joe Biden of presidents.
I got sick of looking at them. I didn't accept that one guy.
They're
really
going to spam
fake.
us now with like ammunition sales. That was clearly not someone that.
Yeah, he's still out.
Deer hunter.
Not trying to be racist, but that one seemed fake.
Too many consonants in his name.
All right, we've had enough this week.
Yeah. Doug, man, thanks for joining us. Thanks for reaching out. Congratulations on a deer of a lifetime. That's really all, and for sharing the story.
Thank you, guys. It's been an honor.
Hey, the crowd's excited to have you here, and it's nice to just hear somebody have success this late in the season on a giant deer.
Gives you hope.
Well, it shows it can be done.
They are still alive. They're still out there.
I still go back to you have to have them to kill them.
That's my problem.
Yep. Sure it is.
Yep.
All right. Well, we appreciate you, Doug. Congratulations. And I try to. Hey, I should ask. Do you have the rack with you?
It's at the taxidermist. My buddy's dad, Dan McKee in Fulton County's Critter Crazy Taxidermy, is doing it for me, and gonna try to have it done by the Illinois Deer Classic in Peoria on March 21st.
That's a record for a taxidermist. He must be a good buddy.
Pissed off a bunch of people that were waiting in line.
He's like I grew up showing pigs with his son, and he's gonna try to do me a solid by getting it turned around pretty quick. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you.
That's legit. Well, you have to send us pictures once it's done.
Well, congratulations, man. And we appreciate reaching out, and happy for all your success. That's one you're gonna relish in for a while. Maybe a hard one to top.
100%. But no, thank you guys. Good luck with the rest of your season. Stay safe, shoot straight.
All right, buddy.
And from me only, not Matt, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Not next week. I'll say Merry Christmas. All right. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Doug. All right. Until next time. Peace out.
DeerCast is completely updated and better than ever. Prep, predict, and pursue your target buck with our detailed maps, weather, and 14-day movement predictor. We're adding new videos every week, so make sure to click that subscribe button and check out all of our amazing content. This episode of DoD TV is brought to you by DeerCast Maps, waypoints, weather, virtual rain gauges, and more. Every tool you need to get ahead of your game.